Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, sounds good.
Testing, testing.
So I wanted to play something I could, write melody and write music with. play a bit of piano too, but guitar is really my main instrument. But thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Ethan. Okay, well, I'll stop till we start. I don't know when to stop.
take this one?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for coming here and joining us, and thank you for those who are online joining us. My name is Joanne McGuire, and I'm here as a host with Reverend David as we go about facilitating this service today. So, it's just nice to be here, and I also want to thank our music team today, which is Jaden and Ethan, and we're very happy to have you here today, too. Nice prelude music, soothing.
So again, just welcome. We're very happy for those of you who ventured out this morning. I'm even proud of myself for venturing out this morning. The trip over here was a slow one with all of the snow and the slippery roads and everything. But we're here, and for those of you who are actually here, thank you for taking the effort to be here. We appreciate you being here. And we are so grateful for all of you online that are joining us today. Let's open, as we always do, let's open in prayer. So I'm going to invite you to just take a moment to center yourself. And take a deep breath And as we bring our attention to this present moment, to this place, to this time, we just allow all of our thoughts of what we have been doing earlier or what we are doing later, we let those just go. And so fully present, we open our hearts and we open our minds to the wisdom, the love, the guidance of Spirit that's always here, right now. We are grateful for this oneness with our connection with the one presence and one power, with our connection with each other, with our connection for all of life, with all of life. So we just allow ourselves to feel gratitude for this day, gratitude for what we are here to learn, and gratitude for the company of all of us here on this journey together. So with open hearts and open minds, we say thank you, loving Spirit, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
So we have our prayer chaplain here today. Sean Sharkey is our prayer chaplain. He's over here in the sort of a blue or black and yellow coat. And he is here for you to, if you're interested in having prayer, would like to have prayer afterwards, Sean will be here for you. So we are so grateful to have our prayer chaplain team. And we always have a prayer chaplain here that's available to pray with you. So thank you, Sean, for being here.
So I want you all to know we are committed to offering a safe environment for our chapel services. Therefore, we are following the guidelines established by the Windsor, Essex County Board of Health. Masks are required, except when we're up here. And they must be worn correctly while inside. Directional arrows are in the aisles for, ease of traffic flow, and seating signs have been placed in the pews for maintaining 2 meters of physical distance, unless you're sitting next to somebody you came here with. I'd also like to point out the prayer request box here in front of the podium. The slips are up beside it, and all you need to do is put your prayer request in there, and our prayer chaplain team will hold those requests and prayers for you. And I'd also like to remind you all that there is Silent Unity, and it's here and online for 24/7 prayer support. And the number is 1-816-969-2000.
And now is the time for us to do some singing. So Jaden and Ethan, what you have for us?
We're going to start off with Coming Together.
All right. That's the new one. We just learned it recently.
I've got love, I've got peace, I've got joy flowing like a river. I've got love, I've got peace, I've got joy flowing like a river. One heart, one mind, one love flowing like a river. I've got hope, I've got strength, I've got faith to move every mountain. I've got hope, I've got strength, I've got faith to move every mountain. One heart, one mind, one love to move every mountain. I've got you, I've got me, I've got us coming together. I've got you, I've got me, I've got us coming together. One heart, one mind, one love coming together. We're coming together. Yeah, we're coming together. Yeah, we're coming together. Yeah, we're coming together.
so much. And we've got another one. So why don't we stand up this time? And our next song is God is My Source.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Faith is my source, faith is my power, faith gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Faith gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, joy gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power, joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to, at the heart of our unity movement is our 5 basic principles, which are good to review on a regular basis. And what time, a better time than at the beginning of the year. So our first principle states that there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. It is called by many names: God, Spirit, Divine Mind, Source, and it is absolute good and everywhere present.
So, our second principle states, we are divinity in expression. And
Testing,
good.
testing.
Like a wave is made holy of the ocean, we are made holy of spirit. Divinity is our true identity.
And our third principle states that we create with our thoughts and our beliefs. We create reality through thoughts held in mind. And drawing from an unlimited field of possibility or God mind, we create our experience by where we place our focus and our belief.
Our fourth principle states, prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God mind and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good.
And our fifth principle states that knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must live the truth that he or she knows. And living these principles is more about being than doing.
We come together to encourage and support each other in our individual spiritual journeys. Wherever you are in that process, we are glad you chose to be with us today. We consider this to be our spiritual home. If you are new to Unity, we welcome you in the hopes that you will make it yours as well.
So we have an affirmation each month, and this month ours is easily, gracefully, I release the past so that I am free in this moment for all that is possible now. Would you repeat that with me? Easily, gracefully, I release the past so that I am free in this moment for all that is possible now. And so it is.
So it is.
Now we've got some special music. And what are you singing today, Jaden? One Power.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
we are singing One Power, and I think that was requested by yourself. So
It
I hope you
was.
enjoy. One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Ba'ula, angels' wings, or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power. Can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Ba'ula, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power. Can't you see? Whatever name you give
Thank you, Jaden. Thank you, Ethan. That was really lovely. One Power is a song by Daniel Nahmod, and it's one of my favorites of his. And of course, that is sort of what our theme is today for our talk. And a welcome for those of you who have joined us and took the plunge and got out on the icy roads and came in. We're really glad to have you here. So thanks for being here. You know, at the beginning of each year, I like to do a series of talks looking at Unity's 5 principles. There are 5 basic principles. And it's the basic elements of these 5 principles that hold the true power, I believe, to help transform lives. So, a principle is a spiritual fact, or it's a constant, it's unchangeable, it's timeless, it's unlimited. It's something that exists at all times. It's the same. It does not change. It is spiritual law in action. And our first principle, basic principle, is that there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. And we call it God. We call it the good. Now, this is our foundational principle. All the other principles rest on this principle. And the key word is not God. The key word is one. You know, the word God is like the most traditional word that we have, pointing to that which is beyond all names. And for some, the word God is sort of problematic. And as we all know, the word God can carry a lot of baggage. My professor at ministerial school, Dr. Tom Shepard, said that he said many people in Unity are what he called refugees from other Christian churches, where the word God can bring a whole lot of negative connotations. I know that I was brought up, and the God that I was sort of in this fundamentalist church, this God that I was being taught, was really quite judgmental and condemning at times. It was, if you read the Old Testament, it's a God that looked more human than God. It was one that got angry and just smited people dead because they did something wrong. Anyway, there's all of these images of this God, and so God has many names, and any name that we use for God, well, it's a concept. And as I've always said, there's as many concepts for God as there are people. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu wrote at the beginning of this book, sort of telling us what the way was, what the ultimate reality was, the Tao. And he said the Tao that can be described in words, this is the opening line, the Tao that can be described in words is not the true Tao. The name that can be named is not the true name. You know, in Zen, they warn us that we should be careful, because we don't want we don't want, if we point to the moon, we don't want people to mistake the finger for the moon. And words are just like that finger. They point to something that's beyond words, beyond description. And no matter what spiritual tradition that you explore, they all agree that this thing that we call God is beyond all words, beyond all description. There's a story that's often told in the East of the 5 blind men who come in contact with an elephant. And one goes over to its trunk and says, "Oh, it's like a snake." And then another one goes over to its leg and says, "Oh, it's like a tree trunk." And then another one goes over to its ear and says, "No, it's like a fan." And then another one goes to its tail and says, "Oh no, it's like a rope." And then the other one goes to its side and says, "It's like a wall." I mean, they were all correct, but none of them saw the whole. So they were correct and not correct. So we have many, many names for God. And in Unity, we have lots of names for God. You know, it's interesting that even like in Islam has 1,000 names for God. And here in Unity, we speak of spirit, we speak of oneness, we speak of beingness, we speak of divine mind, we speak of God as principle, the sacred. We speak of God as mind with the big M. We speak of God as substance and source and love and life and consciousness. We speak of God as Christ, and we speak of God as I am. Our concept of God and how we think about this thing called God, it matters. It's sort of like our concepts are sometimes like running like a software program, running in the background. And so we need to be aware of these hidden thoughts that we have that are lurking in our mind that paint this picture of God or Spirit. But again, our key concept is one. And you know, one is found in all. This concept of being one is found in all of our religious traditions. In the 3 Abrahamic religions, that is your Christian, Islam, Judaism, God is one. In Unity, God, in the Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions, it's a monotheism. And so it's a God that is very much separate from us. You know, a God that's very holy and different from us. And we're here and it's up there. And I don't want you to walk around thinking of God in that way. In Unity, for us, God is right here, right now. God is immanent. We live and we move our being and have our being in this thing that we call the divine. If you look at the other religions, Buddhism, for example, views that everything in this world, this is a key concept of Buddhism, everything in this world is interconnected. Interconnected, connected, everything. And so, therefore, it implies a oneness because everything is connected. One of the most beautiful scriptures is found in the Bhagavad Gita, which is some of your Hindu scriptures. And I really love this little part. This is where Krishna, which is an incarnation of God in Hinduism, says that when he sees me in all and sees all in me, then I never leave him. And he never leaves me. And he who in this oneness of love loves me, in whatever he sees, wherever this man may live, in truth he lives in me. This scripture points directly to seeing the divine everywhere we look, in every face that we see, in every person that we meet. The divine is present. And Paul, the Apostle Paul in Acts 17:28, he's speaking to the Athenians in Greece. And he quotes the Greek poet Aratus, who lived like 300 years before Paul. And this Greek poet had said that, speaking of God, he said, "In him we live and we move and we have our being." In it we live and move and have our being. And this is the essence of mysticism. This us being totally one with Spirit. So our first principle, there's only one presence and one power, invites us to experience the divine all around you, in yourself, in your neighbor, in all of life. In a letter that I sent out with our newsletter that I do every week, I spoke about a book called Black Elk Speaks. And this was a book that by John Nyhart. And it was a book that I read as a young man, probably, I don't know, it was probably in like junior high. But when I was growing up, I read a lot, and I loved to read. And I especially loved to read biographies about famous people. I mean, I read about, Thomas Jefferson. I read about George Washington. I read about Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. And so I was always reading about Ben Franklin. Of course, I was in the States, so I didn't know my Canadian history. So I should have read some of my Canadian history, shouldn't I? But anyway, so I read all of this, and one of the things that I read was Black Elk Speaks, and this was a book, like I said, written by John Nyhart, and he interviewed with Black Elk's son interpreting. He interviewed Black Elk, and Black Elk was a fascinating man. He was a medicine man. Of the Oglala Lakota people. He was an educator about his culture. He was actually a contemporary of Charles Fillmore. He was born in 1863 and didn't pass away until 1950. But he was a second cousin of the war leader Crazy Horse. And he fought with Crazy Horse in the Battle of Little Bighorn. And that's, if you know a little bit about Indian history, was when Custer took his last stand and was wiped out. And that was the Battle of Little Bighorn. So Black Elk fought in that. And then he survived the Wounded Knee Massacre, which if you have studied about some of the atrocities that were done to Native American people, that was one of the worst. And then surviving all of that, he ended up later in life, he was a very young man when he fought, but later on he toured with the Buffalo Bills Wild West show. And he actually went to Europe. He actually performed for Queen Victoria. So he had a fascinating life. But more than anything else, what really touched me was his words that he spoke about his beliefs in the Great Spirit. And they rang so true to me. They were really words that made me really begin to have second thoughts about the fundamentalism that I was being taught. I was hearing that there's other ways to look at spirit. you know, I was raised in that atmosphere where there's only one way. And if you don't believe like I do, you're going to go to hell. And it just didn't ring true. So in the book, I remembered this so well. Black Elk said, he said, the first peace, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all of its powers. And when they realize at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit. And that its center is really everywhere. It is within each and every one of us. The Great Spirit, its center is everywhere, and it's within each and every one of us. So my question to you is have you touched upon that first piece which he's talking about, which he speaks of, that he says there's a peace that we find when we actually realize our relationship, when we really realize this oneness that we have with Spirit, when we realize that we are one with its powers, and when we realize that it is at the center of the universe, and it's everywhere present, and it's within each and every one of us. What I'm saying is you can tap into that, and that's what we teach here in Unity. You can tap into that one presence and that one power. You can align yourself with that one presence and that one power. You know, A Course in Miracles says, heaven is not a place or a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness. When we realize our oneness with Spirit, that there has never been a disconnect with Spirit, that we are one with Spirit, when we realize that, that is heaven. Classical physics, Newtonian physics, looks at a separately existing universe that is objective, and it exists independent of observation. In other words, there's this matter out here that whether we're here or not, it exists. Quantum physics, on the other hand, has come in and has totally shaken up that idea of a world existing out there separate from us. Carl Jung, which many of you are familiar with, he's a psychologist, also another contemporary of Charles Fillmore, one of our founders here. Carl Jung was a psychologist, which Jungian psychology, many of you are familiar with. He was also a mystic, and he was a keen observer and was fascinated with quantum physics as it was coming into play and becoming understood. He says the vision of our universe and our place in it that is revealed by quantum physics is ultimately spiritual. The fundamental interdependence and inseparability of all phenomena is the central pillar of quantum physics. It is also the central pillar in every spiritual wisdom tradition, this interconnectivity. One of my favorite contemporary spiritual teachers right now, he is a teacher of the direct path, a part of Advaita Vedanta when he says that when the traditional teaching says that the world is an illusion, it doesn't mean that the world is unreal or not really there. It is not that the world is unreal. The world is absolutely real. It is just that the reality of the world is not dead. Inert stuff called matter. It is totally alive stuff, he says, called pure knowing, called awareness. Or we could call it God's infinite being. It's alive. It's real. And we live and we move and we have our being in it. So although the core of each major religion is this concept of oneness, throughout the ages, religions have created this false duality between God and man. And Jesus saw through that. Jesus said, I and the Father are one. Jesus realized his oneness with the divine and with all of life and with his disciples and with us. He realized that. And you can say the same thing that Jesus said. I and the divine are one. So divine mind is one of the terms that we use in unity. And Charles Fillmore, in Revealing Word, says that there is but one mind, and that mind cannot be separated or divided. All we can say of the one mind is that it is absolute, and that all of its manifestations are in essence like itself. So the one mind with a capital M. And then the individual mind with a small m is a state of consciousness in the one mind. A little bit about metaphysics. So our first principle is speaking about our understanding of God, or the divine, or divine mind. And there is a term which this would fall under, and that would be metaphysical monism. And it's a notion that there is only one fundamental substance in existence, okay, just one. And it's an idealistic monism, that's monism is one. Idealistic monism is a position that all reality consists of a single substance, and because it's idealism, that substance is either mind or spirit. So that's sort of the philosophy that we in unity adhere to. An idealism that, or an idealistic monism that there is only one substance in the universe, and it's not matter, it is consciousness. So our first principle is there is only one presence and one power in the universe. And it's not enough for us just to believe that. We have to put it into action. Our fifth principle in unity is we have 5 principles, and the first one is there's only one presence and one power. And our fifth principle is that just believing, it's not enough to know these principles, we must live them. We must live these principles. So how do we live our first principle, that there's only one presence and one power? And this is an important question. Believing it is not enough. We can believe anything we want, but to know something, we actually have to live it. And Jesus said that, you shall know the truth. He didn't say you shall believe the truth. He said you shall know the truth. And the knowing of the truth is what sets us free. So how do we put this principle to work in our life? And that's what I'm going to ask you to meditate about as we go into meditation. So how can I apply this principle to my life? How can we apply this principle to our life? Looking through the eyes of Christ, we can see God, we can see the divine, the holy in all of life. We don't just believe we're one, but we see that oneness everywhere we look. We start acting like people, other people, are important. We start acting like other people are worthy of our time, worthy of our attention, worthy of our help, worthy of our love. We wake up to the fact that Jesus was being literal when he said to love our neighbor as ourself. By awakening to the truth of who we are, by seeing our own light, we see others' light. And we transform the world. We become the light of the world that we were meant to be. So how can this principle empower me? If I'm one with the one, then I have access to all the wisdom, to all the guidance, to all the peace, to all the love of that one presence and one power. And my friends, you have access to it. It is within you. Everything you need, all the guidance you need, all that wisdom is within you. So I invite you now to just prepare for this meditation. Relax in your seat. Get comfortable. Let your mind and your body be stilled. And I invite you to just open your hearts and open your minds to that which we call the divine. To that we live and move and have our being in right here, right now. To that which we're always in connection with, that's always available for guidance. Whatever the need, it is within each and every one of us, and we can tap into it. We can align ourselves with that truth, with that vibration, which is spirit. And the first piece, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe in all of its powers. And when they realize that at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and its center is really everywhere, it is within each and every one of us. We are the divine expressing itself in and through each and every one of us. We are each and every one of us unique expressions of spirit. So we open our hearts and minds to that truth of who we are. And I'm going to read a few things from a meditation from Rupert Spira. And speaking of what he considers the divine, he says, I, luminous, open, empty awareness, am the truth of your being. And I am eternally with you, in you, as you, shining quietly at the heart of all experience. Just turn towards me and acknowledge me, and I will take you into myself. And as the witnessing background of all experience, he says, I am inherently free from all things. As the substance of all experience, I am intimately one with all things. So our essential nature is pure awareness. And it's like an open window, Spira says. It makes the viewing possible, but is not in the view. I, awareness, have no name, but I am called by many names. I have no form, but I am the substance of all form. Objects only come in and out of existence from the point of view of a subject, while I, awareness, who am neither subject nor object, and yet the reality of both, are eternally present. So you, my friend, are the open, empty, allowing presence of awareness, in which the objects of the body, mind, and world appear and disappear, with which they are known, and ultimately out of which they are made. Just recognize that, notice it, and be that, knowingly. So take this into the silence with you, being open and being receptive to the guidance of Spirit. So let us just rest for a little while in the silence. as Rupert makes note. He says awareness does not need to be made free, unlimited, ever-present, peaceful, and fulfilled through any effort or any discipline or any practice. Its nature is already that. And all that is required is to recognize this and to lead a life that is consistent with this understanding. My friend, as I've always said, you are free and you are unlimited. You are a unique expression of the divine. And so it is. Amen. So I do want to invite you later, after the service here. We are going to be doing, if you would like to stay, we would love to have you. I'm doing a new member orientation, and so I would love for you to stay around. It's a good way to review our unity principles and all about unity. So join us afterwards. We're going to start it at 12 o'clock because that's when we advertised it for those online, because we will be joined by people online. And go ahead.
I hope this is, okay, it's working now. I've been challenged by the microphone. Anyway, thank you, Reverend David.
Sure.
It's really important to go over those principles because they're really easy to like have an idea about them, but to just really focus on them kind of deepens the awareness about them. So I was thinking a lot about what you said, and it's like, yeah, one of the things that gets in the way is thinking, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, so when that unity focuses a lot on meditation and prayer and the silence. And it's just kind of an opportunity to just kind of like feel what it feels like, to just feel the oneness, not describe it, not get into your head, just feel it. So it was just a really nice opportunity to do that, so thank you. And again, I want to thank our musician. Thank you very much, Ethan. It's lovely background music. And Jaden. I don't know where Jaden went to, but I thank you for, there you go. Thank you for your song as well. Now we're going to go over, okay, our vision, mission, and statement of being. Oh, I also, just before we go there, I want to thank Liam and Carol. They're our technical advisors, and they do a great job of keeping up with the slides and just recording everything for live viewing. So thank you very much for your talent and your skill and your expertise.
Indeed. So we have a global vision. And will you speak it with me? Our vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
We have a sacred mission. We have a sacred mission that says, and will you say it with me? We inspire and empower spiritual growth to awaken us and transform the world.
And our statement of being, would you repeat that with me? I am a dynamic center of the Christ light, mighty to unfold my good and radiate that good to all.
From that place of oneness. We have a few announcements to let you know about. For the time being, due to health concerns and safety guidelines, we will not be serving snacks or beverages after our service. However, feel free to visit with each other afterwards, and please just be mindful of wearing your mask and keeping yourself socially distanced, and to go take part in the orientation.
Right. So yeah, I do hope you will stick around. Again, we'll have a time to have a little break and everything, but we can just get together. I'd love to have you here for just fellowship and just talking, and we'll be waiting for people to show up at 12 o'clock online. But please do. We would love to have you stick around.
So you can visit our website to renew your membership for 2022. You can also get paper forms that are in the foyer, And just place your completed form in the love offering box, and then we can renew that membership.
So next Sunday is our annual meeting, a membership meeting, and it will be held in person here after the service, and we will also be making it available online through Zoom. So if you're out there and you can't make it in, you can join us online. So that's at noon, and that will be that's next Sunday.
Okay. So Outreach is collecting cans of coffee and canned meat for hand to hand, in hand, and Feed Windsor during the month of January. Do we drop those donations off here?
Yes, in the foyer over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So also join me next Sunday as I continue this 5-week series that I'm doing on our 5 principles. And we'll be covering our second principle. And my talk title next week is Knowing Who You Really Are.
We have many online spirit groups and classes going on throughout the week, in that we invite you to check it out. It is a wonderful way to meet new people and to learn something new. Information about all these classes and much more can be found in our weekly newsletter or on our Unity Spiritual Center website.
And we do have a lot of spirit groups that are starting back up, and so please check those out. They're wonderful. They're small groups that are a wonderful way to get with a small group of people with similar interests, and there's all sorts of interests that are being looked at in these spirit groups, and so you're invited to join one of them. And all of that information is in our newsletter and on our website. And then I do want to remind you that Sean is our prayer chaplain. And Sean, I'm going to ask you, if you would please, after the service, if you would meet people in the room back there in the back, the community room. It's a bigger room, because we're going to be sort of setting up and checking mics and stuff like that, so I don't want to be bothering anyone that wants to have prayer. So if you could just make yourself available in the community room, then anyone that would like to have prayer with Sean, please see him back there. And also, just for your information, we, as you know, most of you know, we're not passing an offering basket because of just for safety's sake. So we do have a box over here next to the front door, to the foyer there, and that is where we have our love offering box, and we would appreciate if you do have a love offering or a tithe, that you just get that out and put it in the box over there, and we are truly, truly grateful. You are the ones that keep us up and running.
So we invite you now to stand up, and let's open our hearts and minds in gratitude as we close by speaking out loud or silently to ourselves our love offering prayer, followed by the prayer of protection. Divine love,
in me and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And the prayer of protection, if you'll follow after me, the light of God surrounds us.
I am light.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am love.
The power of God protects us.
I am power.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am presence.
Wherever we are, God is. I am divine, and my friends, you truly are. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us. Ethan, thank you very much. That was great. Yeah, wonderful to have you both here. And you're going to be here with us next week, too. No. Are you being here? Yeah, the 3rd. Okay, great, wonderful.
Thank you, Jada, for figuring out my...
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I figured I had to hold it down longer.
Oh, okay. It's just, I think it's one click it mutes it,
yes,
and then
well,
maybe
yeah,
two
we-
clicks it
yeah,
unmutes
we'll
it. So
set
I
that-
just
we'll
had
set
to.
that up.
Thank you,
check
because